Jet Lawrence takes out Austin Fortner in a crazy 250 race, while Jason Anderson and Eli Tomac battle down to the wire in Arlington. I'm Tyler Deering, and welcome to Gate Drop News. What's going on, guys? My name is Tyler Deering, back with another episode of GDN. So sorry for the late upload. I was actually in Phoenix this weekend working an NHRA drag racing event, but y'all didn't click on the video to hear about that. Let's get right into the 250 main results. Going 2-3-1 to get his first win of the season, Cameron McAdoo impressed. He stayed out of trouble, which tonight was the name of the game. The question was not who went down, it was who didn't go down. It was carnage all over the place. Some deserved, some not people's fault. But let's keep going down the list. To go 9-2-3, Jeremy Martin comes home second. He was okay. I mean, he had a couple issues. He ran into the back of somebody's bike and went down. He wasn't happy about that, but because of the carnage, Martin was able to salvage a second-place finish. Jet Lawrence comes home third, and Jet was the story of the night. Jet had the lead going into the first turn in the first and third main event. I think technically he got the whole shot in the first one, fell down in turn 2, which caused calamity. He had to battle back to fourth. Then in the third main event, I think he dumped it before he got to the line. I'm not sure if they credited him with that. But either way, the damage was done. In the first and third races, Jet was in dead last halfway through the first lap. He goes 4-1-10 to get third place, but the story of the night was the crash with Austin Fortner. We're going to talk about that in a little bit when we get to Fortner. Got to give some love to Mitchell Oldenburg, 5.65. He goes fourth, and if Jet had had his problems a little bit earlier, we could have seen that bike on the podium. Great run for Oldenburg. It was a bummer because he was out last week due to bike problems. Great run for him. Got to give him some love. Jordan Smith comes home fifth. He ran really well tonight. Overall, with all the carnage ahead of him, good solid night in fifth is what you need on a privateer bike. Enzo Lopez, 11.76. If it wasn't for that first main event coming home in 11th, Enzo could have had a podium. I mean, he is running very well on that Club MX bike. He has been the surprise in this class to me. No one's really talking about him, but he's always up there towards the front. 7th place, Austin Fortner. We have got to talk about it. 1-4-19 hurts so badly for Austin Fortner fans. But worse than the 19 is the broken collarbone that he announced yesterday. It was pretty obvious that something was hurt. He knew it immediately. He didn't even go back to the bike after the crash. But let's talk about the crash itself. So Jet Lawrence passes Fortner in the whoops after getting so sketchy with 2 minutes to go in the third main event. Jet rails the outside and comes over to make the move on Fortner, who he's already passed at this point. The part of this move where it goes wrong is Jet clips the tough block right before takeoff on the start-finish line jump. From there, he cross-jumps into Fortner, completely unintentional. You can see it in his face looking back to make sure that he's not going to hit Fortner, but the damage was already done. Fortner, once again, wrong place, wrong time, gets his front wheel clipped, bounces off the bike, and then goes into the dirt. The crash actually could have been much worse. Unfortunately, a broken collarbone for Fortner means that this is likely the end of his season. And once again, the question is with Austin Fortner, when does he come back? Does he leave the 250 class? Because this guy can't catch a break. Unlike previous crashes, this one was in no way his fault. It's a part of the sport that we don't really like, but Fortner's career has unfortunately been defined by these injuries at this point. We'll have to see what he does moving forward. Kyle Peters 8th, Phil Nicoletti 9th, and Styles Robertson 10th. Good run for Peters and a good run for Nicoletti, although he had an issue with Hampshire. We'll talk about it a little bit later when we get to him. But Styles Robertson impressed me tonight. They said on the broadcast he's been dealing with a lot of injuries, so he really didn't ride a whole lot in the offseason, but he was up front to capitalize on Jet's mistakes. He had a couple lazy falls. The track was really slick. It wasn't entirely surprising. But Styles has speed, and he showed that last year with the podium in Daytona. Styles is still very young, and this series has just gotten started. So we could see some good runs. Daytona's next week where he has that podium. So maybe he sneaks a win if everybody goes out, because there's a lot of good factory riders that I don't think are going to be riding next week. Jason 11th, Pierce Brown 12th. Brown had some bad luck. He went down in the first main event, but he did run very well in the final main event. He's got speed, but I don't think he had the consistent speed enough to succeed in a Triple Crown, but we don't have a ton of these, so I'm excited to see what Brown can do. He's not quite on Mosman's level, his teammate on the West, but good run for him in the third main event. Disappointing finish overall, though. Derek Drake, 13th, John Short, 14th, 15th, Josh Varese, but 16th, RJ Hampshire. RJ goes 3:20:20 after DNFing in the second main event, and he was unable to line up for the third. Let's take a quick look at the crash that knocked him out.
24. Right here, he comes up, he fades to the outside, ooh, and he just cross-ruts on the back tire and slams in the...
Hampshire tangles with Nicoletti coming over the tabletop jump. I don't know if that was Nicoletti's fault. I mean, he kind of checked up, but it's RJ's job to not run into the back of him. It certainly wasn't malicious by Nicoletti if it was his fault, but I don't believe it is. Hampshire's crash, it doesn't really show it on TV. The cameraman didn't quite get it down in time to see the hit, and honestly, that was a good thing. Hampshire laid motionless on the ground for what felt like an eternity. No word yet has been given on his condition, but I would be shocked if we see him riding in Daytona. Other notables, Jarrett Fry in 19th and Cody Schock in 21st. Fry, I don't believe, had an issue. I mean, he finished all the events. I'm not sure if it was a bike problem or if it was something that the broadcast didn't show, but Fry was off the pace. Cody Schock had some problems as well. Dead last was Kitchen, who crashed horribly hard in the first main event. Let's take a look at it. The video's not great. There was only one video I was able to find, and it's like a shaky cell phone cam, but we still got to show it because there's a couple parts we want to look at. So right here, you see Kitchen go for the quad, gets out of shape, comes off the right side of the track, goes off his bike, and then slams into the ground, head and shoulder. I mean, he was laying there motionless as well. Between him and Hampshire, we saw some horrible crashes tonight. Nothing's been confirmed yet, but Kitchen clearly had some discomfort in the shoulder as well as in the head. So with that said, how many factory riders are going to be out next week? Austin Fortner's likely done for the season. RJ Hampshire, I doubt will race. I mean, if he does, he's probably not going to be competitive. Levi Kitchen, I don't think is going to line up. So, I mean, just right there, you have several big-name riders that are going to be out, and that opens the door for maybe a Styles Robertson, maybe even a Jordan Smith, somebody to sneak up there and get a good run in. On to the 450 class, it was the Tomac and Anderson show, but we had some guys mixing it up there at the beginning. So let's take a look at the results. Eli Tomac 3:22 for the win. Jason Anderson comes home second. Anderson won the third main event, probably could have won all of them. In the first main event, he tried to pass Malcolm Stewart in the bull turn, got way too aggressive, took Stewart down. Stewart got up and shoved him out of the way in front of the Cowboys faithful, which was cool to see. Unfortunately, the move ended up costing Anderson the win, 6-1-1 instead of likely would have been 1-1-1. Cooper Webb rounds out the podium in third, 1-4-4. He inherited that win after the Anderson and Stewart debacle, but he did get by Barsha in the last two laps. So very good win for Cooper Webb. He's starting to show kind of that glimpse of it, but his championship rival from last year, Ken Roczen, was non-existent. So we'll talk about that in a second. Chase Sexton, 4.35, good run in fourth. He had another lazy crash, but I mean, it's Chase Sexton right now. He's probably going to have a little crash at this point, but he did show some good speed. Malcolm Stewart, 5.63, comes home fifth. He should have won the first main event if Anderson didn't take him out. Worst case scenario, should have gotten second. Another what if for Mookie. But do we see him get a win this year? I mean, he's got the speed. He's up there almost every time. Don't count him out just yet. Sixth, Justin Barsha, Dylan Ferrandis in seventh. Ferrandis had couple problems getting taken down just by running into the back of people. Justin Braden goes 7, 10, 11 to get 8th. Shane McElrath 9th, Dean Wilson 10th. Good night for both of those guys, but the stories continue further down the pack. Vince Friese 11th, Braden Hart with 12th, and Ken Roczen 13th place. Going 16, 9, 16. Ken Roczen was all over the place tonight. He had several crashes. He got taken out in the first turn. But even when he wasn't getting taken out, Kenny was so horribly off the pace. He went a lap down in one of the main events, and I'm not even sure if he had the problem in that main event. He's just not the same rider that we saw last year, and I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure if it's mental, if it's the bike not working, but Kenny is horribly off the pace. I mean, he wasn't even fighting for a top 10 in a Triple Crown race. I think Honda has decided that Chase Sexton is the future, and rightfully so. I mean, if he could clean up some crashes, he would be winning main events consistently. I think Ken Roczen's time at Honda's got to be up. I don't know where he goes next, but I don't see him returning next year. Musquin comes home 14th after DNFing out of the last main event. He got tangled up with Roczen. Just kind of a racing incident. Unfortunate for him. He had some decent pace, but It's not going to show in the stat sheet tonight. More importantly, for the championship, Eli Tomac and Jason Anderson were on it tonight. We had in the final main event them going toe-to-toe with Anderson just edging out on top, but Tomac getting the overall win. It was a lot of back and forth, but it was good, clean back and forth racing. Some of the best racing I think we've seen in a long time. Now, the championship battle has kind of become a two-horse race. Malcolm Stewart's still technically alive in third, but he hasn't shown that ability to go out and win 3 or 4 races, which is going to be needed to catch these top guys. Now, that said, to have a close championship fight this late in the season is huge for the sport. It was awesome to see on TV the level of excitement that the crowd had when Tomac and Anderson were battling. I had tons of friends that were there in person. They said it was an awesome atmosphere. So it's great to see these two battling it out. I did not see this coming from Jason Anderson, but they have lit a fire underneath him, and he is taking it to Eli Tomac. Every week it seems like one of them is slightly better than the other, and I think this championship battle is going to continue. If Jason Anderson hadn't had a couple problems early in the year with getting taken out by Barsha and having the bike malfunction, we could easily see Anderson on the flip side of Tomac with a 10-point lead. So it's going to be a great championship season. I'm excited to keep covering it for y'all. But yeah, I'm very interested to see who's going to come out on top. Anyway, guys, all the time I have for you. We go to Daytona, the first outdoor NASCAR-style venue of the year. Do we see a surprise winner in the 250? Do we see Eli Tomac win by 30 seconds? I don't know, but I'm excited. I will have a video out for you shortly. Going to have more videos out this week. Again, so sorry for the late upload. Craziness this weekend is all I have to say. But we're going to get a little bit more consistent upload schedule here coming up soon. Check out the videos about Colt Nichols and Christian Craig that I posted recently. Let's get those going as well. Yeah, thank you guys so much. I will see y'all in the next one.